Rise for prayer, followed by pledge of allegiance. Father God, you know why we are here. You know the hearts of all men and women. Remind us today of the urgency of being prepared to serve our fellow human beings in time of need. Help us as helping agents always to be available to the collective as well as the individual needs of others in times of emergency and when people are in stressful and hurting situations. Give us understanding of the reason why we exist and serve. We affirm today that a better community and a better Randolph County and a better America begins with us. Bless now this gathering. May God bless Randolph County and God bless America. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So have a meeting called to order for agenda business, and the first thing we have is public comment. Sheriff, who is first on public comment?
Harvey Taylor.
Harvey Taylor.
Easy, man, get out of here. Well, I want to thank you. I didn't think I'd have to come down here again for this. This commission passed and voted 3-0 the last meeting I was here and spoke at to do the splash pad and pool. Why are we here again today? If you're going to rescind your votes, you know what you got to do. Mark Scott's not here to do that. This was a past deal. I remember meeting Mr. Keesling and Bob Evans when he was running for office. The deal was when he ran, he promised people, which he's going through with it, that this would be a pool for the public. I was the president of Tigers Valley Little League 14 years. We did not have nothing. We did not have electric, nothing. What we did, we worked with the county, we worked with the public. We raised over $700,000 and go look at that place today. We host state tournaments. If you want something, you work for it. You don't go call people pigs. You don't call kids pigs. I texted more Saturday and Sunday than I did my whole life. This is uncalled for. If you want to talk trash, you say trash. But when you sit down, and you know, I know two of you, I'd like to get to know you. I mean, I would. I just get sad that an organization that is as great as the Otters, a great organization, let a coach do that. When I was president of Tigers Valley Little League, one of my coaches said what he did, he'd hit the brick. He'd hit the brick. I would not tolerate that. It's uncalled for. Y'all's doing a great job. The grants has got to come in. Chris and Dave, Mark Scott even at time explained how the grant situation is. I know how the grant situation is when I was on the board of education. You know, it's a long purpose. If you have someone to do that, the person that's trying to get your grants is going nuts because it's a headache. It is a headache. If you all pass to do this pool and this splash pad, it should stay as is. What are we griping about? Why are we putting stuff on Facebook about people? Come on. You know, I've heard corrupt. You're taking a beating right now. Welcome to politics.
Yes.
You're welcome to politics. It's a shame. It's a shame the Otters has to do this. It is. I don't care. My number's in the book, call me. It is. It's a shame. And I am asking you as a taxpayer of Randolph County, and probably I can get 150 people here if you want. You give Otters donation every year like you do Little Leagues. Till that coach is going, you should pull him donation. For what he said about the people in Randolph County. It's a shame that you got to stoop for a pool when you could be working and getting donations to build you a pool. Go to City Elkins and lease a piece of land for $1 a year and put your pool in. But when you go down and talk about kids, give me a call. When you put on Facebook about kids, call me. I had 150 kids a year that was my kids because I was president of Tigers Valley Little League. It's a disgrace when an organization has to stoop so low to try to get a pool in Randolph County. I guess I'm going home.
Thanks, Harvey. Yep, thank you.
You don't want to listen to what I got to say.
See ya. Why? When you stoop as low.
Enough.
That's it,
Yeah.
guys. That's it.
Pathetic.
do it again, we'll ask them both to leave.
Miss Iannello.
I've been in this county 55 years. We've all needed a pool. Yes, we have the college. Yes, we have the Y. I was in a wellness program at the college, and you could use the pool when the other swim teams didn't use it. I don't care how early, how late you went, they were there. There's a Facebook post going around by Mr. Jared Varner. It takes nothing away from the sunbathers and the splash pad pigs. I lost all respect for that man. He shouldn't be around a child. I'll stand up for any kid in Randolph County, Tucker County, wherever. We need this pool. Do we need a competition pool? No, we do not. We don't have the money for it. We don't have the place for it. I'm sorry. They've been using these other pools for years. Continue to use that. Do you know how many kids with disabilities, or even adults with disabilities, can't use that pool, but they can use that splash pad, and it would feel really nice for those kids, or the adults. I mean, you get someone crippled, can't get in that pool, but they can sit in that splash pad. And that's my problem. You all voted for this. Why was it tabled and redone? And David, you're not corrupt by any means whatsoever. You stand by your word. And that means a lot to a lot of people. And we'll back you any way we can. But no to a competition pool. We do not need it. I mean, if we have to fight, we have to fight. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Hill.
I'm only here to answer any questions. I'm the general contractor that will be building the pool if you all award the contract.
Well, thank you.
Richard Device.
Richard Boss.
I just basically wanted to talk to you, Chris, after the meeting's over for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll be here.
Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Ellen Shepherd.
Hi, I want to begin by thanking you for taking the time and taking the project initiative to put a pool and splash pad in. I want to first explain, I do have 2 student kids on the Otters. I'm involved in many community sports. I've been a teacher in this county. I no longer teach in the county, I teach in Upshur County, where I see that pool as an asset to our students. If you don't know, all students last summer were awarded passes to the pool, every one of them, through the County Board of Ed. This summer, any kid who attended summer school, their whole family got a pass to the pool. It is the heart of the community. When I look at the pools around us, they're competition size. It is not to take away from them. As has been pointed out, we have a place to compete. We have a place to do those things. We're trying to keep the Elks open. I don't know what has changed from when it was shut down, but when it was shut down, it wasn't being used enough. There were too many bad weather days. The financial means to keep it open wasn't there. If you were to expand that pool, and I'm not even asking at this point for the pool to be expanded, I'm asking to see a written estimate that you've actually looked into it. That's where it's frustrating at this point. I've asked for it in last August. I think it'll be around this much. They said maybe this much. All I want is it in writing to say, hey, yeah, we actually looked into it. And if you looked into it and said it's gonna be X amount of dollars more, and that's why we can't do it, we'll either raise the funds or we'll say, hey, we accept that. Thank you for looking into it. If you say geographically there's not space there to expand it, again, thank you for looking into it. Then I feel like you've done your due diligence as commissioners. Right now, I feel like this has turned into a personal battle, and that's not okay for our community. It doesn't expand our community. It doesn't help it anything. I'm speaking for me, not for any organization. I'm here for my kids because we've talked about it forever. When I came last time, I explained that when my students were here, a lot of them learned how to swim. It was important for that to happen. They like the splash pad until they're a certain age, and then they're kind of over it. And that's okay, but that means it's not a sustainable thing on its own. So we do need the pool to go with it. But I really would appreciate if we took the time to truly investigate those options. You know, we could raise the funds and we could put another pool. That would shut down the Elks. or it would shut down the other pool. We cannot financially maintain 2 community pools in this community, and that's not fair to the community. I'm coming here to speak as working together and trying to bring together and come up with a solution. It's not something that's new. I came and spoke last August. I came and spoke at Camp Pioneer. I couldn't come last week because I had COVID or I'd have been here. It's not like we're coming up and saying, oh, we gotta do this now. We've been trying. I'm asking now, anybody in this room who sent an email about this subject in the past week, please stand up. If you received a response to your email, please remain standing. So I can see that we're pretty targeted, right? I didn't receive a response. My email wasn't even read. I put a ready to proceed on it. As a teacher, it is my responsibility to respond to emails within 24 to 48 hours. I'm a public servant. That's my job. You realize you get paid more than a first-year teacher to do your job? It's important for me to understand why it wasn't important for you to look at what I took the time to write. Or Mr. Varner, which I understand there's contention there. Or Ms. Monk, or Mr. Schmidt. Well, I don't think Mr. Schmidt's ever been disrespectful to anybody. I don't understand why it's not a conversation. That's frustrating to me. They teach us as teachers, if you want a child to behave and you want a child to listen, they need to feel heard. So maybe some of these points that are coming up, maybe some of these irresponsible comments that are being made are because we don't feel heard. We elect you. It's not a threat. That is how democracy works. If you don't feel like the person you have elected is representing your means or representing what you need, then you seek out somebody else to run against them. I look at that email as an important point because when I was head of the teacher strike in this county, I sent an email every day. Do you know I got a response from every single one of them, whether they were for or against my point of view, every day. It might have been a canned response, but I know that my emails were read. I know that my voice was heard. When I walked into this meeting, when I read those newspaper articles, I know that your mind is made up. I know that you have not taken the time to look into or explain to me why a competition pool is out of the question. If you told me last August that a competition pool would cost about $500,000, we don't have it. A year later, we have $1.4 million extra dollars. I don't understand it. This is a time of record inflation. So now we're taking a 2-part project and putting it together to spend all the money now. That doesn't make sense to me financially. I'm not asking for you guys to change your mind today. I'm asking for an open conversation with facts and data and actual points that prove to me that, yep, you are making the best responsibility judgment with the money that we are investing taxpayer-wise. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking on this project. I know that other organizations have not done that. I know that this pool is important. I just don't want to feel like our community is settling for crumbs because that's all we can get. I want us to say, hey, what are we going to do to make sure this pool is great, that when those swim teams come, they know that we have a pool, they invest their money in our community, and this pool stays open. I don't want it to close because there's too many bad weather days. I don't want it to close because it's too expensive to get there, or it's too out of way for too many families to get there, or there's not enough parking. We want to work together to put together the best pool we can, and I feel like we've been excluded from that. And as families who invest our time going to pools all year long, I feel like we have some knowledge about what's important in a community pool. Thank you for your time.
Craig Forden.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. So my wife yesterday took our kids over to Parsons to play in the splash pad. Be nice, and I appreciate everybody's effort in making something local here. Like, it's been a long time coming, and we appreciate that. I'd like to just speak generally on the hotel motel tax that will be used. Completely in support of that. We understand that fund can be used basically for whatever at the commission's discretion. Encourage that. We encourage that to be used for an investment in our community. In fact, generally speaking, allowing something to be a competition size that draws people in would be, we feel, again, generally, a good use of the hotel motel tax. I've been here managing for 11 years and would love to see something that would could bring people in it would take a very long time in hotel rotel revenue to end up paying for an additional costs associated with a competition size pool. And that's okay, and we understand that. Or people coming and staying for an event. It would have to be a lot of events for a lot of years to pay for that additional money. It doesn't have to come in hotel motel revenue. Increased foot traffic, increased visitors to the area helps tourism in general. And I see this not having a kid that's in the otters. You know, I don't have a kid that swims. So I don't really have a dog in the fight other than in the hotel motel tax industry, or in the hotel motel industry, where we would be generally, again, for most people, supportive of a competition pool and any extra funds required to be used from the hotel motel tax as an investment into our community. Again, thanks for your efforts and moving forward and making this happen. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jared Varner.
Good morning. I guess Harvey isn't here for me to address my comments on Facebook, but that really has nothing to do with this project, but since it was brought up, I'll address it. That was said July 2021, and I apologize for the bad terminology used. I was not calling any kids that, for anybody involved in otters. That was for the trash that I was told that had been at the splash pads in Weston and Parsons. So I just want to take care of that. I've coached kids for many, many years, and I would never do that. The same kids that would go to the splash pad are some of the same kids that will eventually swim on the otters. So, as you guys know, everyone here knows me, I'm Jared Varner. Those that don't, I grew up here in Elkins swimming at the Elks. I lifeguarded at the Elks for 4 years. I had to swim and train at D&E for high school and for the otters. D&E is great and it's been great, but what if it ever closed? In 2020, we could not swim up there. So if we had an outdoor pool, because of social distancing and COVID, we could have practiced there. Last year we held no home meets. We traveled to all 10 meets were away. Again, if we had an outdoor pool, we could have hosted our 5 meets. It'd be nice to have an outdoor facility like Buchanan, Philippi, and Grafton. It's kind of sad, small towns like Philippi and Grafton, nothing against them, but it's sad that they have something that we don't have, and we're the biggest county in the state. I don't want the next generation of kids in Randolph County to have to go through that. I currently coach on the Otters. We have anywhere from 60 to 70 kids on the team a year. We often win the Summer League championships. I hated when the Elks closed. I think it's a decent location to have for a community pool, and I'd like to see the pool as well as the pad be successful. I have with me a petition that I gave to you three. I see one copy of it up there yesterday. I got a few signatures since yesterday, but there's 399 signatures on it now that I got in person. Well, we got in person over the last 5 days. Could have gotten way more, I assume, if the meeting wouldn't have been moved up by 2 weeks. I trust that you guys looked at some of those names on there. They were individuals that are not involved in otters whatsoever, taxpayers, businessmen and women locally. The petition represents the citizens of Randolph County and surrounding counties that would like you guys to consider just looking into it, like Ellen said. And we were told verbally last August that you guys looked into it, but nothing's been on paper. Currently approving the 2.1 million bid is nearsighted to not wait and see if inflation prices may fall between now and next summer and see what it costs for everything. The same, just amend the pool to be competition size, and then you can see what the additional cost may be. Nobody wants the pool our way. We're not trying to run the show. We just want the pool to be able to be utilized by all. One group's being excluded from this project, and like Ellen hit on, we've been trying to work with you guys since day one. I got drug into this last year, so I wasn't there at 4-H, and I haven't been there since Kiesling and Miss Ross have been working on this for 4 years. So also the designs show that the depth of the deep end is supposed to come up to 6 feet 6 inches. That's kind of taken away from any recreational activity in the deep end. So you're never going to be able to put in a diving board. I don't know if that was the plan. I know there was a slide. I don't know if there was 2, but a diving board there was 2 up there when I lifeguarded there. So that's a part of recreation. First, I have a few quotes from the Intermountain and the minutes from last year. The first quote is August 2021. Mr. Kiesling said when he ran for office 3 years ago, the thing he wanted to do, because he heard from people they wanted something for the kids to do, was a splash pad. He said that what he ran on was getting a splash pad. He said when the project first started, it was just a splash pad. Also, I've looked at the budget proposal from December 2020. It shows $337,100 was budgeted for that pad. So the notion that the price increased solely $1.1 million because of the addition of the splash pad is false. Next, on August 2021, Commissioner Scott and Kiesling told us that it would be anywhere from $350,000 to $612,000 more to make it a 25-meter pool. This was a verbal quote. So how do we have 1.1 million extra in funds, but then, Mr. C, you kind of told me when I talked to you, and I appreciate that time. You told me that you saw where that came from, so now I kind of know, but where was that last August? Initially, it was $128K in coal severance money. I understand it's up to $500,000 now. Hotel motel was at $250K. I don't know what it's at now. And ARP COVID funds were at $500,000, and I think there's some additional funds that came in there. So how does the county have 1.1 more now, but then at last August? If the bid came in at 1.4, you guys would approve it and say, okay. But if we were asking 600, 700,000 more to get a competition pool, you wouldn't approve that difference to get to 2.1 for us. Next, the biggest complaint I hear on Facebook and from the community is the swim team will just take over the pool. That's just not true. I'd like to go over a typical Elks community schedule if it were a competition length and the Otters train there, which I sent in an email. We typically practice from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Thursday. The season runs from mid-May to mid-July, so a 60-day window. The Otters typically host 4 to 5 meets on Tuesday evenings only throughout the summer. Those evenings typically, Buckhannon and Philippi close their community pool at 5:30 or 5 o'clock. This is a very minimal impact to the community. Since I worked at the Elks those 4 years from 2004 to 2008, I know most people attended the pool between 1 and 5. As we know, the weather's not great here. The sun up there doesn't hit the pool at all hours of the day, and that's typically when most people came. I imagine that will probably stay the same. Otters is a nonprofit, so we pay for our lifeguards up at D&E. We get them there, we pay them when they're there lifeguarding for the meets and lifeguarding for our practice. And any concession revenue made at the meets would stay with the facility. So if the Elks runs it, if you guys run it, I was told the Elks is planning on running it afterwards, that would stay with them. We're not looking for money, we're just looking to incorporate it all at one location. Last, I have another quote from 2021 from Mr. Kiesling. It was, quote, "We initially were going to do the pool and splash pad separately, but about 2 months ago, we decided to do them together. The first phase was to just do the pool, but we decided to go ahead and do it all together. It just made more sense to do it all at once because they are going to be in there tearing everything up anyway," end quotes. So if it makes more sense to do everything together because they're in there tearing it up, why does it not make more sense to tear the walls out and do the pool correct? We want the same thing, we just want the teams to be able to use the facility too. Randolph County does not have the funds to support 2 pools. That's why every other county incorporates their community and team. The "it's good enough" mentality is not what is best for Randolph County. Our plan incorporates everyone, not one group over another, not one thing over another. It is all of the above for everyone. Time is on our side, so being late in the year and the summer, we could use that time, save some money. We could go out and ask for donations. Like Harvey was saying, we can do that. The reason we haven't is because we've always, been neglected. We could build those funds up, refocus, meet, and do a rebid. The citizens and swimming communities of Randolph County appreciate your time. I appreciate your guys' willingness to listen to me, speak to you. Mr. C, I showed up at your work 2 times this last week to give you stuff. You've been very cordial, and I appreciate that. Mr. Seiler and Mr. Kiesling, you responded to my messages. I appreciate that on Facebook, not through email, but I appreciate you guys listening to me. And yeah, concerning comments from last week, those weren't a threat about saying when you guys are up for election, it's a privilege to sit in that seat, not a right. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Monk.
My name's Kelly Monk. I have 1 child now in the Otters. I'm gonna echo everything Jared and Ellen said, so to save a little time, no reason to go over that again. Y'all heard them say what they said. I want to reiterate about tax money. To be real honest with you, I don't think a pool is a government responsibility, so to speak. Never have. However, when this all came together and you all started talking about a pool, we first met at Camp Pioneer. That's when I think we first got kind of involved. Then we met here. I don't know, this is maybe the third or fourth time now that we've had meetings about that and about decision making. We've sent emails, no response. But I figured that after talking with some people in the team, some different things like that, other people in different communities that have pools, I thought, well, I don't love the idea that government's involved, but it's gonna be involved because you've all decided to spend X amount of dollars on it. We just don't know what that X stands for yet. And so I thought, well, then it needs to be used to accommodate everyone in the community. A competition pool, we have one in nearly every county around us, and in most counties in north central West Virginia, not touching Randolph County. So some of those counties are more population, some of them are less. Pocahontas County, for instance, has 3 pools. They're about little less than a third of the population of Randolph County, and they manage to keep them up mostly through tourism. So the idea that we would bring people in, that we would bring different teams in, that people would repetitively come to Randolph County after seeing a pool the first time that's competitive through a swim team is something that Randolph County needs to think about with tourism. The other thing that I guess I would add on to that, and like I said, just saving for time, is November comes, we have an election. Currently on the ballot is to remove property taxes. As you know, 135 million of that typically statewide goes to county commissions. So you may have a funding problem in the near future. That's countywide, not just for a pool, not just for EMS, not just for, you know, sheriff's office, whatever else you're funding at the time. Otters can help keep a pool afloat. A swim team in general, not just the otters, can help keep a pool afloat, no pun intended, for the idea of funding it, for concessions, for other things when you bring 300 or 400 people in to a meet. That's a lot of concessions, that's a lot of money that can stay with the pool. We pay for our pool time, we pay for lifeguards, as Jared said. There's no money taken from the county. I think that's all I had.
Bob McCutcheon.
I'm speaking a little selfishly today as a fitness enthusiast. I got to Elkins in 1996, I think, to teach a D&E. And I was disappointed when I got here to find out that there wasn't an outdoor fitness facility in Elkins. I think having a pool like this competition size, because fitness swimmers, and there are a number of us around, take it pretty seriously. We like to know how far we're swimming and some of the exact lengths. So I think having a pool would just kind of raise Elkins' profile a little bit, make it a little more viable and legitimate and serious as a community to draw people in, professionals and others. It'd be a great resource for fitness. I think you would attract a lot of people once it was there. I think that the fitness people would arrive. I'm known not among this group as a swim bob. He got notorious for being at the college pool every day or at the Y. I was Jared's first coach, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And he long surpassed me as a swimmer. But, so I think, again, for Elkins, it'd be a good thing to have a good competition fitness pool. People have said it would draw people in. I think if we hosted meets, it would be a good thing. And yeah, so I think that would be, and I do think we ought to have a pool like that, since other communities do. So I'm here to speak in favor of the official. I do it now right. I get the right length now. It's very hard to change later on. So I hope a competition pool emerges from this. Thank you.
John Smith.
I didn't have time to prepare many remarks. I'm an active grandfather and babysitter. I just wanted to speak as an individual and as a father, grandfather, and as a swim coach today. As an individual, I do like to swim, and I do like to swim outside, and Bob made a good point. We do like to know how far we went, okay? Obviously, if we only go 49 yards, like in the current Elks pool, we would have to, count for that. question, and this would be for the construction guys, how, do they have to take the walls and concrete down and replumb that pool as it is?
Not all of the wall comes down, but part of it comes down to put the new, drain around the perimeter of it.
Okay, that's what, thank you.
All new piping, it's gonna have all new piping, all new pumps, all those kind of things.
So you'll be tearing the deck up?
Yes, all the deck's gonna be gone.
Okay. All right, so it might make it easier to expand it. The bid may not come in as high as we thought it would. As a father, my kids are grown. I have grandchildren, but there are a lot of fathers that could not be here today because of the timing of this meeting. And a number of them have expressed interest to me in seeing a pool that their kids could swim in, either as recreational swimmers or as competitive swimmers, to make this community better. So I'm glad we're all in favor of supporting this pool. As a swim coach, now Kate Abney and I established the Elkins Otters in 2000. And I coached that team until I couldn't any longer in 2013. And then a few years later, Eric Anger talked me into coaching the Rays team, which is the Randolph Area Y swim team. And I'm the senior coach for the Rays. And a lot of my kids swim for the Otters in the summer and swim for me in September through the end of March. And I just want you to know that we have built a juggernaut in the swimming community in North Central West Virginia. We are the team to beat in West Virginia, in this part of the state. And this community is very supportive. When I was the coach of the Otters, I used to raise, this was a while back, I used to raise $2,000 to $3,000 a year just in advertisement banners to help offset the cost of swimming. I have a young friend. I've talked to some of the folks in the community. They know him. I'll just say his name is Bobby. Bobby grew up very, very poor, and he was just a poster child for what we did. My wife and I scholarshiped a lot of these kids to help them be able to be on a swim team, because swimming is a little more expensive than some sports, but not greatly, has been exaggerated in social media. Baseball costs a lot of money. If anybody does travel baseball or travel softball or travel soccer knows that it's expensive, and travel swimming is the same thing, okay? But I wanted to make swimming affordable to everyone, and we did. We had kids who were from low income to high income, which was a great mix of people, and it's a family. What I loved about the Otters is that the older kids took care of the little kids. And when those little kids became older kids, they took care of it was, Jared and some of these other guys that were swimming back in the day will tell you, they were taken care of as little kids, and they got taken care of by big kids. And a lot of sports teams, you don't have that. You have age group, you move on up. So it's kind of a neat thing. But I'd like to see this pool be considered to make a little bit bigger, so that we can serve every kid in our community, not most kids. The splash pad will be a great addition, as somebody pointed out. We're gonna have kids that, some of these kids that learn to associate really positive things at the pool, whether it's the splash pad or the pool, are gonna become our future swimmers. We have state champions in swimming almost every year for a number of years in high school. Not many other sports teams have state champions. It's a successful program, guys. Otters will support, I will support. Sheriff and I both committed $1,000 each at that meeting at the 4-H camp. We're still good for it, I would assume. Yep. And I can get a lot more of that. All right. I'm good at fundraising. Please take advantage of me. I gave you all my card at that meeting. I've not heard anybody ask for my help. But I really am good at fundraising, and we are as a group. We can get the money to help make this pool a little bit bigger, so it serves all of us. Okay. We know the city won't build it. They won't build it. It's a shame. I'm embarrassed. I'm glad I don't live in the city limits. Okay. But, and as we pointed out before, D&E could pull the rug out from under us anytime. just so you all know, I had a individual offer to pay 10 years worth of Otter's fees to D&E. And D&E said, nope, they wouldn't take it. We said, calculate 10 years worth of fees and I'll get you a check. And they were like, no. So that tells me they're either worried about the, getting locked in or whatever. So I don't understand what's going on there, but it's a shame. So I am here to support the pool. I would love to see it regulation size. I would love to see a splash pad so all the kids of this community can join it. And I'm here to work with you. And if you need my contact information, please let me know. I'll be here after the meeting. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Judy Richmond.
Good morning. Most of you that know me know I have no children, so I obviously may not sound like I have a reason, but I am very community oriented. I have a little short speech written, but I've heard some really confusing comments today. I've heard how our pool didn't make it at the Elks, which was a private pool, and at that time you had to have a membership. And I'll be the first to tell you I was raised poor, and I did not swim at the Elks pool. At that time, we dammed up the creek. DNR has a little bit of an issue with that today. I did not learn to swim until I was probably 40 years old, and I am still not a good swimmer. It's because I had no access of anywhere to go. So if a pool is only open short time and we have horrible weather and whatever, I don't see how making an outdoor pool is an asset to a swim team, because you're gonna have to cancel meets or move them back inside anyhow. I've heard, talks about money raising $200,000-300,000 in advertising, but I'm assuming that the Otters has not come to you all and said, here is X amount of money that we have set aside from all this fundraising and stuff that we've done to put towards that pool. Also, I know that we had the $1,000. I know Dave has committed $1,000, and I know that 2 of the 3 of you know that I have personally committed $1,000 to the program. So I'm here because I'm community involved. I'm also an excellent fundraiser. I wanted a place for cancer patients to be able to stay doing treatment in our area. The hospital told me we don't have the money. I instantly went out and I started fundraising. I started pricing units. I started looking for land to buy. And I was fortunate enough, as I had started and got, that they came back with the foundation and said, hey, wait, Judy, we want to do this. And we have the Davis House today in the community. I feel you have to take responsibility to start your own project if you want to ask these gentlemen to jump on board. I know Missy started years ago trying to get a swimming pool in this area and met all the rhetoric and backed off. We can't let that happen. So now, off that to my written, calm Judy speech. First, I am disappointed that we're back here rehashing something that I thought a decision had been reached on. Today, I want to present to you the haves and the have-nots as a summary of this swimming pool project. The haves have a place to practice. The haves have a place to compete. The haves has had an opportunity to learn to swim. And several of the haves have pools on their own property to enjoy and relax in. The have-nots have nowhere locally to swim. The have-nots many can't afford a Y membership. The have-nots mostly do not have a swimming pool in their backyard, and they have no chance to even learn to swim. And they have to know how to swim to join a team. So I see this pool as a plus that we can increase the amount of people who could be on a team and who could enjoy that. That's why I'm asking the commission today to approve the bid and move forward with the decision we've had. This may make me one of Mr. Varner's splash pad pigs. But when I can see moms with young kids enjoying that splash pad, this pig will be happy.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it. All right, thank you.
No, I didn't sign up to speak.
Okay. So moving on to items for discussion and action. First we have item A, that's consider approval of bid for pool splash pad project.
I make a motion that we accept the bid for the pool splash pad project as presented. Now, what is it? Is it here? $2.1.
$2.1 million. Okay, there's got a motion for the approve the bid for the pool splash pad project in the amount of $2.1 million. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.